Does God want you to follow your dreams? Does He care that you're an individual? I'll talk about that in just a second. You know, there's a lot of Christian groups these days that seem to think they have cornered the market on what it means to be a Christian. You have to do this and wear this particular kind of clothing, and don't do this and don't do that, and make sure you follow these rules and all of that. Now, I'm not saying that there's not standards set down by God. There are. But what I am saying is sometimes we legalize our faith and turn it into some sort of activities as though we might be trying to remain a member of a special club. And Christianity just doesn't work like that. Because what does God say about the individual? You know, sometimes God doesn't come right out and say something specifically. Sometimes He shows it to us by what He does. He might not have said in the scripture, "You are free to be an individual. Follow what I have taught you, but be yourself." He may not have said that, but in essence He has. Because if we look at the disciples that Jesus chose, He had fishermen, tax collectors, doctors, common men, men of influence. He had all sorts of people with different skill sets and personalities. And if you study those folks, you'll find such a plethora of different kinds of folks. It leads me to believe that God does not mind variety. You need only to look under the ocean surface at all the different fish, or in the field at all the different insects, to understand that God does not mind variety. So what do we do with that? How do we translate that into everyday life? Well, I am admittedly a great big geek. Used to be called a nerd, but it's now more of a geek. I like certain video games. I like kinds of books. I like Star Wars and Star Trek and science fiction and fantasy novels and things like that. That's my wheelhouse. I enjoy that stuff. I like comic books, etc., and so on and so forth. Now, I know other Christians that are huge football fans, and there's nothing wrong with either one. Now, I'm not particularly interested in football at all. Half the time, actually more like 75% of the time, I don't even know who's in the Super Bowl. It gets a lot of chuckles from my pastor, because it's just not something I care about. But I certainly know when the new Star Wars movie's coming out, because it's something I care about. Now, how does that translate into the Christian life? Well, I have a certain type of interest. I like apologetics. I like talking to people, relating to people. I like to write, and I have a little bit of talent for it. And so I know that God has given me a set of skills that match my personality, that allows me to serve Him the way that I'm good at. If God were to have wanted me to do something else, He would have given me a different skill set. I know people whose ministry is to repair vehicles. If you were to put me in that situation, you would probably not be going anywhere unless you walked, because I have no skills whatsoever when it comes to that. You see, that's what's amazing. God has allowed us to be individuals and has given us our own way to serve Him. He certainly expects us to follow Jesus and to accept Jesus, but He lets us be who we are. And to me, that's exciting. That allows me to be me. It allows me to find people that are kind of like me and hang out with those folks, and I draw strength from that. I always love to hear stories about different individuals in different settings that are followers of Christ and what they do for that. There's a group of gamers that have conventions once a year, and they try to have a service, a church service, before they game. I know that on the Bass Pro circuit, they have like a fisherman church that the guys can go to before they go fishing. You know, and I know that's also true, I think of, someone told me about it happening in NASCAR also. Now, I'm not a NASCAR fan, but I'm a big fan of believers getting together and understanding who they're serving, no matter what they go out to do. Then folks can go out and do those things and still be a servant of the Most High God and have had time to worship. God lets us be individuals, and I think that's great. Follow Jesus. Be yourself. Be kind to each other. Have a great day.